You're here with Christina and Jackie for another episode of SHeCOMMERCE, where power women and real talk collide in the CPG world. We are thrilled to have a powerhouse guest with us today, one of the sharpest minds driving the future of retail media and connected commerce. But before we get to that, hello, Jackie.
Hello, Christina. You're looking mighty fine today.
As do you.
Nice. Like my earrings? What'd you think?
I do. Those are so cute. So cute.
You're getting all glammed up for our podcast. Huh?
Got a little date here. A little date.
Christina,
What's going on in your life?
I am so thrilled, so excited to have our first Flesh and Bones guest on this podcast. First ever. Oh my God.
Same.
Can you feel the excitement? I'm fizzing.
I mean, listen, Chatty was fun. She was fun, but we're missing that emotional connection with a real life human. So I'm so excited. And we have such a good guest.
Oh God, she's amazing. But before we talk about the amazingness of our new guest, tell me, what is going on with you and with the holiday season coming upon us?
Yeah, it is coming fast and furious, huh? And, we're getting the lists together from my girl squad every day. They add something else, a catalog comes to the house and they circle literally everything in it. So, that's fun because I felt like I had bought everything. And then, they just keep adding. I'm like, listen, Santa shut down. Like there's a deadline and it's approaching and then he doesn't take any more orders. I'm sorry.
My favorite on your list is the Dyson Air app. I love it.
Oh God, this girl, this 12-and-a-half-year-old just needs a dose of reality. Yeah, she wrote her list and asked for a Dyson hair wrap. I'm like, are you, what's happening? I don't even have that, Jackie. So, and she does her hair once a month, dries it. I was like, yeah, no, you're going to get a knockoff off like Temu. That's what's going to happen.
But hey, Christina, you don't ask, you don't get.
You don't get. I know. That's the problem with raising strong females.
Yeah.
Oh,
100%.
It's good until they unleash that onto their mother.
I mean, did they?
How about you? I know you're super excited.
Yeah. It's almost like, did they not get the memo? You're supposed to be strong for everybody else. Us, you listen to what we say, right? Well, I am super excited.
Leave it at the door.
There are 41 days before Christmas, and I'm half excited, mostly freaking out because I haven't even started. My Pinterest board is full to the brim of all the things I want to do and all the things I want to get. And I asked my kids, like you, what would you like for Christmas? And I swear, Christina, they are disciples of the Amazon temple. They want Kindles. They want the Alexa Dot. And I'm like, you're 9.5. What about something a little more exciting?
To stay connected. I don't know. Alexa's pretty exciting.
I mean, then you have to do all the full lockdown and all that stuff. So, but no, they're just like, we'd like to go to Amazon and get the Amazon things, all the Amazon things. So, I mean, they're doing a great job. You're doing a great job, Amazon. You've got my kids hooked.
Keep it up, Amazon. We're hooked. All right. Well, time to spill a tea.
I have tea.
Strong. You have tea? All right. You can start.
I mean, we're talking, this is grade A Darjeeling. Okay. As you know, I work for Flywheel, and one of the women I work with, who is an absolute powerhouse, has recently been promoted from VP to SVP of EMEA. Can we say whoop whoop for our very own Kelly Miller, total queen?
Congrats, Kelly. From what Jackie shared, it is well deserved.
Completely. And Christina, one more from the progeny from our very own close friend and ally, Shri or Papa Raj, Cat's Eye, have just been nominated for the Grammys. Oh my God. Wow.
Beyond amazing. What a proud parent moment that must be. Yes, they were Best New Artist and Best Pop Duo Group for their performance on Gabriella. So shout out to them. And I'm just going to put it out there. If you need a seventh member, I'm your girl. All right. We could, expand on your core demo. If you want to back up and understudy, I'm here, call me.
If you want a seat warmer,
but seriously,
I'm a little more humble about this. If you want a seat warmer, I am there for you.
I'll do whatever they need, but no, amazing. I'm sure they are beyond excited, and that is a win in and of itself. So congrats, ladies, and best of luck. All right. What else is on the tea agenda? Let's see. How about we talk about the big move between Kimberly-Clark buying Kenvue? Have you heard about this, or have you been living under a rock? What's happening?
That was shock moment. I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, wow, what happened there?
Yeah. I think it's interesting, right? It's like a bit of a risk given the current situation that, Kenvue's been in. But I think with any risk, there's really high reward, right? And this is now cementing Kimberly-Clark's, powerhouse of brands to basically everything in your bathroom, nursery, medicine cabinet in one giant blended CPG family. So as all blended family do have to go through, I'm sure there'll be a bit of chaos before they come together and get on their rhythm. But I think, it's really interesting. And I think Kenvue brings some serious brand equity and wellness and skincare that adds to their portfolio.
Frankly, Christina, I can't think of a single person in my squad who did not grow up with Neutrogena. You, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big,
And finally, the Amazon Unboxed event was this week just gone. And they dropped many game changers, but the one that really hits home is Ads Agent, an AI-powered assistant that plans, launches, and optimizes campaigns like a pro. So what does this mean? Basically, you upload your media plan, speak in natural language, pause all campaigns with ROAS under 2, for example, and boom, your campaigns are structured and streamlined. Wow. And
that's productivity, right?
Completely. And
that's a lot of productivity online.
It's across the globe. It's not just a region. It is North America, EMEA, APAC, MEA. You name LATAM, it's there. How cool is that?
It's super cool. And I think there's a real clear value proposition, like you said, you stop managing 10 different campaigns and let the system tailor it for you and mix across, all their assets, sponsor, display, streaming. I think it's giving efficiency meets intelligent in the way that Amazon does best. All right, sisters, we are so excited today to have our first official human guest this time, who is quite the heavy hitter.
And look, folks, there's flesh, there's bones, there's hair, there's all the human parts, all together in one amazing package. Folks, we're talking about Lauren Griewski, Managing Director and Head of Sales and Partnerships at Chase Media Solutions, and one of the sharpest minds driving the future of retail media and connected commerce.
Yeah, she's rewriting the playbook on what a modern media platform can be. She's leading the charge on dual-sided engines that connect brands to, what is it, 85 million Chase customers with precision and actual measurable impact. So Lauren's career is basically a masterclass in transformation. She's built her career at the intersection of media and tech, working at organizations such as Meta, Roblox, Viacom, just to name a few. And she's operated inside every major wave of disruption. And now she's steering the go-to-market vision at Chase, scaling teams, shaping strategy, and proving what strong female leadership looks like in high-velocity environments. Lauren, we are beyond thrilled to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And that introduction is, I'm very humbled and flattered by every word that you shared, and both you and Jackie. And it always makes more sense in the rearview mirror than it does as we're sort of building into the future of our career and into the teams that we get the opportunity to lead every single day, the challenges that we get to solve together in this industry. And so I'm just also taking a moment back and reflecting as you were sharing that, like, wow, like we're here in my career and it feels very surreal, and I feel very fortunate for this opportunity, and I'm sure we'll dig into it, but it hasn't always fell up and to the right, and it doesn't always feel like that. So for anyone that's listening to that intro, I'm also, have had my moments of feeling like it wasn't going to be as rosy and as beautiful as Christina and Jackie have so eloquently shared. So thank you for that, and I'm really excited to be here today.
Do you love that opportunity to listen to that and then think, oh my gosh, look, Ma, I did all of that?
It reminds me of that song in the Elle Woods on Broadway where she's like singing to Warner. If anyone has seen the Broadway show of Legally Blonde, where she's singing to Warner like so much better. And it's this whole idea of like, oh my gosh, I got into Harvard. Can you believe it? And I like sometimes in my life, I've had those moments. Like even when I was at Facebook, when Meta was Facebook, I used to think like, how do I get in here? They hire Olympic athletes to sweep the floor. And so I think it's, it's actually, and as I reflect on myself, it's a mix between like following my heart and my intuition and letting that be ultimately what guides me versus just my head. And in that, it's also been very rewarding for me that in the moments when I have followed my heart and when I have recognized when things actually like weren't the right fit anymore and was willing to let go and to let the next stage evolve instead of forcing something or to let fear drive my next decisions, that's when I think the alignment has been there. And so when I do look back, it's like, I feel excited and grateful to be at this position. And I also continue to check in with myself to make sure that my heart is leading me. And I hope that's answering your question, Jackie.
I love that. And I think that's what makes you so authentically you, Lauren. And we're excited to dig in and ready to spill some smart tea with you. So maybe before we jump into the hard stuff, we love to ask our guests, what's your favorite drink right now? And this could be, what's filling your cup, whether that's literally or figuratively. We always have our little beverages of choice, which I'm, again, boring with some iced tea, but my cup is cool, so.
Yeah, I am a total Starbucks girly. So I have my, well, it's now ice, but I drink an iced shaken espresso in the morning with oat milk. And I love that Starbucks now writes inspiring messages. So today I got You Rock. So yes, I'm definitely taking that in. And Starbucks is very much, I just love the brand. I think I like to save my Starbucks cups and fill them up with drinks at home. So it's very much a part of like a brand that's been a part of my life. And I am like yesterday, I think I started my team meeting. It was Red Starbucks Cup Day. So when you order a holiday drink, you got a Starbucks Red Cup. But I share that just because I'm not only like a huge advocate of the brand and love the products, but I also really admire them as a brand, and I'm, they're ingrained into a part of my life.
Wow, that's so intentional and thoughtful. I am in my Christmas era already, thank God, and I'm drinking a gingerbread latte because 41 days to Christmas, guys.
Did you make that at home?
This? I mean, you would think so, right?
Do you make a gingerbread latte?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just basically a latte and add some gingerbread syrup to it. But that. Don't tell anyone.
Oh,
I want to make it sound a lot more fancy than it is.
yeah.
Well, shall we jump in?
Yes,
Let's
yes.
jump
So,
in.
here's my question to you, Lauren. Could you share a moment where being a woman in the commerce or partnerships arena shifted from being a hurdle to being a strategic asset?
I think it spans, it's not just commerce. I think in general, the awareness around any type of diversity, whether it's being a woman, whether it's your age, whether it's your sexual orientation, like diversity takes on a lot of different shapes and forms inside of what we present as to the world and sort of how we identify ourselves. Diversity also takes on the shape of experiences that shape who we be. And one of the things that I like to talk a lot about is that on the outside, I present as a tall, confident, bold, blonde-haired woman. And it looks like it's all packaged together. And like in some ways, it kind of looks like my life was handed to me on a silver platter. But the opposite is actually true. I grew up in a home that had abuse and alcoholism and a number of things for me that actually shaped who I be as an individual today in terms of making decisions that would further my life, making decisions to invest in therapy and in things that help me heal so that I could show up as a strong, empowered leader and make sure that there weren't things that triggered me that impacted my ability to contribute to others, to contribute to business. And I share this because I think sometimes it's easy for us to default to being a woman or being a certain sexual preference. And I talk about it a lot because I also encourage people to feel proud of where they came from. And it's something that I had to work on in my journey, is to not feel ashamed of where I came from, but actually to allow that to be some of my superpower, to not be victim to circumstance, but to actually allow it to be something that shaped how I show up and how I have empathy for others and how I have empathy for myself in some of the ways that I operate as well. So I think that's just something I like to speak about whenever I'm asked about diversity or being a woman. I always like to try to lead with that because I think it also allows people to get to know me in a different way as well. And then in terms of being a woman, I think in general, like the way that we relate to each other in our masculine and feminine, whether it is being a woman or being a male, I think is something I am very aware of. And so I think there are dynamics where, and sometimes I've had a strong presence in being like a bold, more masculine leader in some cases as a woman. And I think that has, in some cases not always served me in environments where I maybe am like triggering or intimidating to others. So in a world where I can be 100% responsible for how I show up, I try to be more aware of my audience now when I'm in certain rooms. And there are times where I just have to let someone else be the alpha in the space and let that be okay. Because collectively, if we can get aligned in what we're trying to solve, and then we can adjust where some people maybe aren't as self-aware around the masculine or the feminine or the alpha versus someone who's more taking a role of contributor versus leader. And so I think, Jackie, I'm giving you a very long-winded answer to it, but I just like to kind of break some of the stigmas around like one, diversity, and then two, the idea of like male versus female. And I like to open a different conversation around that.
We love that.
I
love that.
I love
it. Right. And thank you for being so transparent and sharing that and really being vulnerable. We appreciate that. And I love what you said. I think the diverse experiences and, like everyone has an origin story. Like we are a product of that upbringing and the morals and the experiences that we had. And, we do have to own it, and what you do with that and how you choose to let that influence. It's all about I think, being really mindful and being aware of, what is appropriate in that situation and what is going to be most relevant, right, to achieve the task at hand. So sounds like you have just a really strong emotional intelligence. What is it called? EIQ, which is sometimes rare to find in leaders such as yourself.
I just want to say one more thing to that, Lauren, and this is something that I appreciate and admire so much in your response, and that is you took ownership and accountability and responsibility for where you were going and how you were going to show up. So, and you didn't let your experiences, your previous experiences, be your excuse, but instead you use that as your launch pad to become a better version, to I guess learn from, so that you could be a better version of yourself instead of using that excuse. And I love that, and I just admire that so much.
Well, we were going to ask you about, have you ever been underestimated or encountered stereotypes as a woman, right? You are,
Yeah.
Beautiful, successful woman. You come in wearing your cheetah shirt, on the prowl. We love it. But you kind of talked to that a little bit. So I just wanted to maybe have you build on that. Have you ever turned an underestimation into an advantage?
Sure. I think one of the things I'm very aware of as well is that I am bubbly, I am blonde, I'm sparkly, I'll wear my cheetah print shirts, but it's who I be. And it's the most, exactly, there you are with your SHeCOMMERCE shirt. I love your microphone. Like, it is a creative expression of who we are. And I think when we do that, when we lean into it, it also gives people the opportunity around us to creatively express who they are as well. And as a leader, I fully believe that we set the tone for how free and expansive people feel and how they can express themselves, especially in a role where you're working with partners, where a lot of times the way to get to a partner's challenge is to sort of break down the walls of vulnerability, to allow someone who's a head of marketing or a CMO or a CFO who has real challenges that they might even feel like they can't necessarily share them, or they have to have it all together. So one thing that I really appreciate about bringing who we fully are is that people around us also start to warm up to feel who they really are too. And that's where I feel like the magic, the connection happens. And the safety happens in environments where people can actually tell you what's really going on. Not only your teams, but also your partners. So that's one piece of just bringing all of me. The second thing is, and I alluded to this a little bit in the last topic we discussed, but I think it's also really important to be authentically aligned, because that's where we also get our most creative ideas. That's where we become a channel for, big magic to happen in our lives. And so I've studied a lot of quantum physics. One thing people might not know about me is I got a license as a practitioner in quantum physics and that sort of thing. Is a 5-year program that I did and completed last summer. And I share that because there's so much unseen power that is in the realm of vibration, and we are like magnets. So the way that we show up in terms of our energy is also what the things that we're attracting in terms of our lives. And so in addition to that is like, no matter what someone's judgment may be of me, right? No matter what they think about me, I don't have to pick that up. I know that in me, I'm uniquely who I am, and I have my own gifts and talents to contribute the same way that someone else does as well. So I try my best to stay focused on what I came to be in contribution around, what I came to be responsible in terms of delivering, instead of trying to please everyone. And believe me, I have had my days of wanting to be likable. It's a big thing that I've worked on in my career of like, especially as a leader, you can't please everyone if you're going to be able to do what you need to show up and do every day. You have to be willing to have people be disappointed and to just tolerate that disappointment. And so to the question that you asked, Christina, like, yes, of course, like every day, I think people like to pass judgment. It's just natural of who we are as humans. But ultimately, like, I want to choose into what I'm here, who I uniquely be. And some days I'm better at that than others. Sometimes the stakes feel really high if I'm meeting with a very senior person and I want them to like me and respect me and all that. But the more I stay aligned to who I am, I feel like over time, there's been a lot of friendships and relationships that I've had where like people will tell me like, I had you like pegged wrong. And that's always, I'm always like, oh, that's okay. Like that's happened. No big deal. I get it. So yeah, so that definitely has happened throughout my experience, and that's okay.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I love you're just so authentic, and you get what you put out, right? You get back what you put out, and I think that's a very genuine way to go about life. And you're right, we cannot please everyone. A lot of women, I think, especially try to be people pleasers. But as you move up and in those leadership roles, if you are pleasing everyone, are you really leading? I would say no.
Absolutely. I'm going to pivot a little bit now, Lauren, into your leadership and the influence and impact you've had on in terms of that style. So at Chase, you lead sales and partnerships. So what would you say your leadership superpower in aligning teams and clients and platform monetization is?
I love the question around what my superpower is. What I would say is it kind of comes back to what I talked about before, which is like I've had a lot of training of how to be a leader. I've come up in the industry. I spent 20 years in this industry now. So I think just in terms of like what I know we need to do, how we need to build as a business, those types of things, I feel like I have a lot of experience that I've been able to contribute to this organization as we think about continuing to add value to the ecosystem of consumers and of our brand and merchant partners in the industry. So that training and experience I've had and failures along the way that have taught me like how to actually, one, get through failure and get through challenges, but then also like how to actually operate in the today world and to build for the future. Those have all taught me the functional skills I need to bring to this organization. But I think in addition to that, the superpower beyond it is like enrolling people who, quite frankly, didn't spend 20 years in this industry and that come from more of a banking or a traditional finance background into that future, into the vision of the art of the possible, and where we at Chase can uniquely carve out our differentiators in the industry, and then to get an organization which is highly risk averse, which has levels and levels of ways of ensuring that we are compliant at the highest levels in the industry because we are a financial institution, to get people comfortable with those levels of innovation. And I think that's where my superpower is really in enrolling people of the art of the possible, not only in the people that have to approve some of the ideas are like, what is this woman bringing to us right now? Could she even, I don't even know if this is possible, but the other teams, like the rest of the teams that also then are contributing to these ideas and are going to be and are huge contributors to being able to shape and execute what we bring to market, which isn't just our teams, it's also our clients who are taking risks by being the first to market together with us, by driving innovation collectively. And then it's all the other players in the commerce industry that I believe through partnership and collaboration, that's how we raise the bar. That's how we drive innovation in the industry. It's not through competition, where, of course, there's friendly competition that is in business that drives us to be better. But I think collectively, enrolling people into the future and galvanizing all of the support that we need to get there is one of the superpowers that I bring.
Christina, do you think there's anybody out there who has the ability to say no to Lauren?
I haven't seen it yet.
It's so funny. Last week, one of our CEOs called me in the morning on my way to work. We have this term here that we call a Zoom bomb, which is when someone calls you on Zoom unexpectedly on video chat, and you're like, oh my gosh. So I'm in my car on the way to the office, and they're inquiring about something. And I said, well, I have you. I sent you an email to approve X, Y, Z in my budget. And he looked at me, he was like, do I get to say no? No, I need that done.
Yeah, it wasn't a question. It was a.
Yeah,
I love though you're really pushing the boundaries of what is possible, right? And as you said, the art of the possible, and getting people to think more in that light, like how to get it done, not if you should get it done, which is great. So as you think about building the ad partnership sales, and now you're leading at Chase Media, which is more challenging, right? Driving that high growth monetization at a tech business or startup, or now scaling media sales in this financial service mega network?
Two things. One, when I think about revenue as a sales leader or as a partnerships leader, I see it as feedback. So revenue is a lagging indicator of us bringing the right solutions to market, us showing up as the best partners to the people that we serve and work with every single day, us ensuring that we have the ability to deliver on what we promise to deliver. Revenue is just feedback to that. So while it's important that we are driving growth and delivering the business objectives that we sign up to do every day, I also have us focus not on the numbers so much, but more on the value that we are creating in the ecosystem. And that is the lens of which I see all of how we come to market around as well. So it is really, Christina, to your point around like, what are the innovative solutions we're doing? So we're not just at parity in a market where, you know, you sort of become just another one of the options, but that we're actually uniquely solving things in the ecosystem that no one else can solve. And I think about that at Chase, like, what are the things that we uniquely solve only because we're a bank that no one else can do? Because we have the scale of, as the largest consumer bank and as the largest business bank and very trusted relationships with our consumers, brands become beneficiaries of that. So, okay, great. What can we solve for them right now in the industry that no one else can solve? And so I like to think of it in that way. And that, I think, also sort of grounds us a little bit into I think a lot of times in sales as a leader, there's like a driving force to sometimes not always make the best business decisions because you're looking at short-term gain when it comes to revenue. And I think the disciplined part of it, and it's a part that we always have to be able to check ourselves on, is like, what are we doing to create long-term value? And that is something that I believe is my North Star. Now, galvanizing teams around that and having people who, you know, essentially are on performance type programs at the company, I think that's also something that as a leader you have to lean into as well and help them see the long-term perspective of growing the business, of being a leader, of being a part of something that we're going to redefine in the industry. And so there are ways to also motivate teams around beyond just, you know, the revenue expectations that they have. There's also ways to find like what really motivates people. What are their human needs? And that to me is like the most exciting thing in the business. And I love when people feel like they're a part of something way bigger than their quarterly performance.
Yeah, I love that you touched on the long term versus short term and like that focus, because I think especially in hard times like we've been in, right, challenging times, we focus on the short term, but how did we get there, right? And I think we take that for granted to say, if we don't want to be here, right, and we want to prevent this in the future, we really need to invest the time now to think about those strategies that aren't going to have the instant, you know, payback. And I'm going to steal that. Revenue is feedback. I love it. It is great.
Yeah. Please, yeah, it's all ours to share. You're not even stealing it. You know, you'll probably find your way to make it your own, which is great.
So if we're looking at retail now, how would you anticipate the power balance evolving among retailers and brands and the media platforms, especially, Lauren, from your vantage point at a financial services media business?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. One, if I look at the opportunity that Chase has to add value to the ecosystem, it really resides in the fact that we have a full view of the consumer. So I'm able to see what they're buying at the grocery store in terms of like when they go to the grocery store, what the gas stations are that they go to frequent, where they go to have dinner in the evenings, the subscriptions that they have for their different needs in their life, whether it be entertainment or health or travel. So I see a full view of a consumer. And typically, in addition to that, I have a really strong relationship with them as well at a bank. So when I think about retail media, typically the retailers are beholden to the data that exists within their four walls and within their shopping carts. So they have a limited view in terms of what they know about that consumer and the rest of their life. So I see a really unique opportunity for us to be able to continue to inform who a consumer is by looking at the whole connected commerce, not just what's happening inside of a retail location and online shopping experience. So I think that's a really interesting thing that I think a lot about the future of, again, how do we continue to uplift and add value to the entire ecosystem and not just inside of one sort of a retailer by retailer or commerce platform by commerce platform. Because quite frankly, you know, there's more than 250. The number is probably much bigger than that now in terms of, you know, retailer, commerce, or travel media networks. And I think we also have to think about, like, how do we now make that something that, for a brand, can be accessible to them and scalable to them. So, history repeats itself. It's just back in the days of the publisher websites, they all got aggregated. Like, that will happen again. And I think we're in a unique position given the relationship and the full view of the consumer that we have to start to drive transformation in this space. I also think a little bit about the future, and I'm sure we'll probably get to this, of just like how the consumer journey will change with agentic commerce. And so when agents are shopping on behalf of consumers and when agents are building relationships with brands instead of just a direct consumer, I think a lot about sort of also how transaction data is going to work in that process. And so if we just think about like working with partners as we build into the future, I think a lot about how potentially retailers, if we're buying through agents, like where does that data exchange with the retailer actually exist? And we don't know the answer to all of these questions yet, but these are the types of questions, to your point, Jackie, as you think about all of the players, the consumers, the brands, the platforms, and now also the agents. Like, what are we going to do in terms of becoming more efficient, delivering more value to the consumer? And those are the types of questions I like to ask in terms of like how we build for the future.
Actually, to riff on that, Lauren, you made me think of another question that's very linked to the AI piece of things. Everything is AI now, right? And yes, it is. I believe that it is definitely the future of and the next shift in retail. But do you think that there's going to be a lot more fragmentation before there's a consolidated plan or solution within retail?
I think so. I think in general, like anyone who has a first party relationship with a consumer, a CRM database, is building a media network. Like, I am surprised by the calls that I get from my closest friends in the industry on like where they're taking their next career, their next job, because some company is building a media platform. And like, it's exciting, right? Like, we're all trying to think about how to continue to add more value to the consumers that we have relationships with, and advertising is a way to do that. And I think back to my days at Meta of like early days advertising, we were training the industry on how to build creative for a social media platform. It wasn't by taking a display creative and putting it on the newsfeed. And if you guys remember back to those days, there was the 20% text rule. And it was like the number one thing that everyone who was working on the business was like, oh my gosh, everything's like turned upside down because everyone's creative is rejected every single day. But like, it took them taking a bold stance on how to build for new environments and how to train an industry on how to do that. And so I think similarly, like the ways that we can be continuing to add value to consumers through advertising in these new retail media environments is how we have to think about not just taking what we knew from our historical context and trying to have it fit into the new places and spaces, but how to actually build innovatively together with the consumer. So to that point, like, yes, I think fragmentation will continue to happen. I think the ones that will win are the ones who think about who the end consumers are and how they, long term, and how they can add value versus extract it in the environment that they operate in. And then I think in general, like, I have AI agents who help me every day, who help me, like, they not only help me move faster and stronger, but also have a level of confidence for me. Like, I'll write an email that's very direct, and I'll tell LLM, the learning model, like, make this sound softer. And it, like, that's a helpful tool for me to also lean into things that, like, I don't want what I need to get out really quickly to have someone feel on the defense. And so I just use these examples in my own work experience of how AI has really helped me. And I share this because I think that's why the speed of transformation in AI is just going to continue to help us no matter what the task is that we have to get done. How we plan for that and how we build around it, I think it's still TBD. And I think there's a world where, if we think about the biggest players in the space, the AI platforms will start to play very competitively there.
You touched on a good point, because with many tech advancements that we've seen, some of it is really invisible to the consumer. Like if you think about Web3 technologies, that was all behind the scenes. Like you didn't know as a consumer how it was adding value, but AI, it is very tangible, right? As you said, in the instances, and I think having that very clear value proposition is what we're seeing, like that hockey stick effect of the growth, right? Just being so exponential. And, you just touched on this too, but we're at this convergence, right, and the way Chase looks at it through brand marketing, shopper, full funnel, right, performance in this retail media ecosystem. And I think that is a differentiator, because with all the fragmentation and everyone kind of building their own solution here, it's like many have a piece of the puzzle, but we need to bring those pieces together to have that full, puzzle completed. So
yeah, I think a lot of we talk about, how things are going to change with AI and what the future is. And so the other question I like to ask myself is what won't change, right? There's things that will change that we're all making predictions around, but there's things that won't change. And I believe things that won't change are that people will continue to make emotional decisions. People will continue to have relationships with brands. They will continue to put clothes on their body and the way that they feel and the way that they make them feel. Those things will still exist because that's who we be, that's who we are. Now, I think AI will remove friction in the process of me getting products to me but I don't think my experience of brands and the emotional decisions that I need to make or that I do make are necessarily going to be impacted by AI. And I like to think there's this funny example I heard once of someone buys a Ferrari because when they sit in the car, it makes them feel like a race car driver. It makes them feel like they've made it, right? Like they can afford this luxury experience and what it means in terms of their identity. And then they get home and they pull in the driveway and they tell their partner oh yeah, it gets really great gas mileage and I got a deal on the tires, so they sort of justify on the, the features of the product, but they buy on how it makes them feel. And that's an emotional decision. And I don't think that will change.
For sure. There's a role for both, right? There's the functional versus emotional. We talk about that a lot and really uncovering those needs and desires. But you're right. Emotion does drive, the majority. Okay. Well,
I've tried to
go ahead, Jack.
do that I was just going to say, I tried to do that with my husband. These Manolos, they are really practical and they are functional.
Girl math, yes. Well, that's the art of what do you call it? Convincing and influencing.
Yeah. I need to work on it. It hasn't happened yet, folks. But watch this space.
Fail forward on that one, Jackie. Fail forward.
Yes. Well, Lauren, we wanted to ask you, what's one piece of advice you would give to women and men aiming to build a career at that intersection of retail, media, and partnerships right now?
I think two things. One, relationships really matter. And so as you think about building career and where we're headed in terms of the industry, continuing to just invest in the relationships that you have, showing up at networking and industry events and being an active participant in the conversations and being willing to speak on panels, to give, do things that feel risky. Those things become really important as you think about the close-knit industry that we have. And I will say, most of my closest friends and industry colleagues and partners are people who I spend time with in the industry. And so making those investments, I think, is really, really important. And then I think secondly is it's so simple to be a thought leader. And I even have an opportunity to do a better job around this, but to have a point of view and to share that point of view in the industry. And so one of my challenges for next year is to do LinkedIn Live videos. And as boisterous as my personality is, I'm always well, I don't have the perfect thing to say. And someone else just posted about that thing I had an idea about. So I don't want to seem that's just my head telling me stories to keep me from feeling unsafe. So I want to become more of a thought leader in the space. I want to share more of my positions on, certain topics and that sort of thing. So I think just in general, having a point of view and sharing that also can become your differentiator in terms of finding your next opportunity or carving out your own unique space in the industry. And then I would say the third thing, and it goes back to some of what we've talked about, but attitude matters. And so the way that we show up and the way that we continue to contribute in terms of can-do attitude, I think that really matters as well. In industries, especially ones that are either highly regulated or very new, it's easy to feel like it's impossible. And I just say the shift of perspective of this is my opportunity to build and to do something that's never been done, I think really, really matters no matter what industry you're in.
Well, Lauren, spoiler alert, hate to tell you, but you are a thought leader, so I feel like you're good to go there. But love the point, the fact that you're just showing just how humble you are, and checking yourself and making sure what you say is going to be relevant. I mean, I think that's important. But you're right. Like, have a point of view. There's a lot of conversations that you can just me too and jump in on, just to kind of show up and have your voice heard. But I think it's also what you're hitting home is make it meaningful, make it be your differentiator and uniquely you.
But also to add to that, Lauren, is the fact that, as Christina said, you are a thought leader. So if you were agreeing with someone else's point of view on a topic that you were thinking about, what you may not realize is that your agreement or your positive attitude towards that is adding gravitas for them, and it's making them feel like, oh my
Validated.
God, Lauren agrees with me,
Oh my gosh.
That's a superpower too, right? To make people feel validated.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. And I always admire like some of the podcasters, and you guys are taking a huge leap and putting yourselves out there in terms of like launching something new, getting into the conversation, making it uniquely yours. And so I think similarly, like, I admire what you guys are up to in terms of taking a stand for carving out a space where you feel like there's an opportunity in the industry. And like, I'm so flattered and honored to be here as a guest on this and to be able to contribute to this discussion as well. So thank you.
I was just going to say that it has been our honor having you on the podcast, Lauren.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so enough talking shop, though. We want to have a little bit of fun before we close out our session today. So, Lauren, as you think about, as you're getting ready for a big meeting, like you said, or about to go on stage as a thought leader, what's that power song that you play, that either in your head or out loud, to help get you in the zone?
There's a song that I always say, it's like Shine Bright Like a Diamond, which is the Rihanna song. So I love that song. It's always just a reminder of like, the diamond doesn't have to really do anything. It just shines. And so it reminds me to just like, let go, let be. It's similar, like if you're training for a marathon or any sort of race, like you've done the training. So you're ready to go take the stage and like have your, go contribute what you came to contribute. So I like to think of that. I also will say, like, I have playlists. I meditate every day on my way to work on the subway. I have like songs that are all empowering songs that I listen to when I'm on the treadmill or in the mornings. But I really, really fully believe like what we put into our system is also what we put out. So I'm very intentional about that sort of thing as well. And I'm happy to share some if that'd be valuable for your users.
Jackie, what is yours? Just curious now.
I don't want to say because I love Lauren's point, and mine is so cheesy. It has nothing to do with
you. It's okay.
It's not a power ballad, but to calm me down and put a smile on my face every time is Sweet Home Alabama. Every time.
I love it.
That's a great song.
It's like if I'm stressed or if I'm thinking, oh my God, before I'm about to present, or if I'm doing something big and scary, a little hit, a dopamine hit of Sweet Home Alabama, and I've got this cheesy grin on my face, and I'm thinking, it's all good. I'm ready for this,
Great. I love
so
that.
Good.
Well,
what about you, Christina?
Cheers, Christina.
Yeah, it's usually Demi Lovato, Confident. I just love the beat, and it gets me so hyped up. So that's generally it.
Oh, I love it. So good.
Basically.
We got a playlist started already.
Yes. Go ahead, Jackie.
I totally love that. A SHeCOMMERCE podcast playlist.
It's
headed by Lauren.
Yeah, look, these ideas. Like you're already getting like your, next stream of products coming to market. First episode. Second. Exactly.
Perfect.
Oh my goodness. So Christina asked you about your power ballad. I'm going to ask you about your signature cocktail. If your career was a signature cocktail, what would that be, Lauren?
Well, it's I would call it a spicy margarita. because,
Oh,
you know,
yes.
it's like spicy, it's sweet, it's a fiesta, it's refreshing. Yeah, that's what I would call my career. It wouldn't necessarily always be my drink of choice, but we could sum up my career as a spicy margarita.
Well,
I
love
love
that.
it.
That's
Yeah.
a great answer. All right. Well, Lauren, again, thank you so much for joining us today. You know, we launched this with our vision to really build a network of female leaders and advocates, and we really wanted to kick it off and set a high bar for the type of female leaders that we find inspiration from and the industry will find inspiration from, thought leaders such as yourself. So we are very honored to have you as our first official human guest in the flesh. So appreciate you taking the time and doing this. You've really set the bar for what we want SHeCOMMERCE to be and look like. And with that, we want to do something at the end of our episodes with all of our guests, which is taking a pledge. And it's about paying it forward to the industry and really helping to amplify women's voices and shape the future of commerce. So we'd love to have you take that pledge and become part of the Sisterhood.
I'm all in. You didn't even ask. It was already pledged in. So in terms of like whatever, Christina, if you call, I'm here. I'm there. So one, thank you for what you're doing for women. Thank you for the podcast that you're hosting. I'm excited to hear some of the other guests and episodes that you guys have as well. So congratulations again on all your success. And of course, happy to be a part of the movement, the ways that we can continue to support each other in this industry.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Well, Lauren, again, you're amazing. Keep shining bright like the diamond you are. And I think that is a wrap for our episode. So just to close,
All brands,
fierce women,
one sisterhood.
Thanks, everyone.